When I first started learning English, it felt like standing at the bottom of a tall mountain. I was excited but also nervous. My biggest problem was understanding new words and using them correctly. Every time I learned a new word, I would forget it the next day. It was frustrating. One day, I decided to keep a little notebook. I wrote down every new word I learned and tried to use it in sentences. For example, I learned the word delicious from a cooking video. Later that day, I told my friend, the noodles I had for lunch were so delicious. I felt proud of myself, even though I wasn't sure if I said it perfectly. Another challenge was speaking. I was afraid of making mistakes, so I stayed quiet during conversations. Once, in a group English class, the teacher asked me, "What do you do in your free time?" I wanted to say, "I play games," but instead, I said, "I play game." Everyone smiled, but no one laughed at me. The teacher gently corrected me, and I never forgot to add an S to plural words again. Listening was also tough. I remember watching a movie in English and only understanding 3 words, hello, yes, and goodbye. It made me feel hopeless, but then I found a trick. I turned on subtitles and watched cartoons instead of serious movies. Cartoons were easier to follow, and I started recognizing words I had learned. Over time, I realized that making mistakes is a part of learning. It's okay to forget, to ask questions, and to try again. I also discovered that English is not about being perfect, it's about communicating. Every little step, even the embarrassing ones, helped me climb that mountain. Now, I still have a lot to learn, but I can look back and see how far I've come. My advice? Be patient with yourself, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Each mistake is like a small step forward. As time went on, I faced another funny but difficult situation: pronunciation. English has so many words that look similar but sound very different. I'll never forget the day I tried to order a pizza at a restaurant. Instead of saying pizza, I accidentally said pizza. The waiter looked confused for a moment, then laughed kindly and said, "Oh, you mean pizza." I laughed too, but deep inside, I felt a bit embarrassed. To fix this, I started practicing with tongue twisters. One of my favorites was, "She sells seashells by the seashore." It was hard at first, but it helped me improve my pronunciation and made me laugh every time I messed up. Reading was also a challenge for me. Long texts felt overwhelming, so I started small. I read short stories for children, like The Ugly Duckling or Goldilocks and the Three Bears. These stories used simple words and had pictures to help me understand. I also tried reading signs, menus, or even product labels in English. I remember once seeing a shampoo bottle with the word moisturizing on it. I didn't know what it meant, so I looked it up in my dictionary. That's how I learned a new word from something as simple as a shampoo label. One of the most challenging but rewarding moments was when I had to speak to a native English speaker for the first time. It was a tourist asking for directions in my hometown. My heart was pounding as I tried to say something useful. I managed to say, "Turn left, then go straight for 5 minutes." The tourist smiled and said, "Thank you." I felt so proud, even though I probably sounded nervous. The best part of learning English, however, was making friends from different countries. In an online group chat, I met someone from Japan who was also learning English. We shared tips and funny stories about our mistakes. For example, she once confused dessert with desert and said she wanted to eat a desert. We both laughed, and it made learning feel less lonely. Slowly but surely, I started to see progress. I could watch my favorite movies without subtitles, write short emails in English, and have small conversations with confidence. One day, I realized something amazing: I wasn't afraid of English anymore. Now, when I look back at my journey, I feel grateful for all the mistakes and funny moments, because they taught me something valuable. Learning a language is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every word you learn, every sentence you try to say, brings you closer to your goal. One of the hardest parts of learning English was understanding idioms and slang. At first, I thought every word in a sentence had a literal meaning. One time, a friend told me, "It's raining cats and dogs today." I looked outside and felt so confused. Where were the cats and dogs? Then my friend explained that it just meant heavy rain. I laughed so hard because I realized how silly my first thought was. From that day, I started writing down idioms and learning their meanings. Another funny mistake happened when I tried to use an idiom without fully understanding it. I wanted to say, "I'm very tired," so I confidently told my teacher, "I'm under the weather." She looked surprised and asked, "Are you sick?" I didn't know why she asked that until she explained that under the weather actually means feeling unwell, not just tired. It was embarrassing, but I never forgot that lesson. Writing in English was also tough. When I wrote essays or messages, I often translated word for word from my native language. This made my sentences sound strange. For example, I once wrote, "He has a good face for his work," instead of "He has a friendly personality for his job." My teacher gently corrected me, and I realized how important it was to learn phrases as they are used in English, not just translate directly. To improve, I started journaling every day. I wrote about simple things, like what I ate or how I felt. At first, I made a lot of grammar mistakes, but over time, my sentences got better. One day, I even surprised myself when I reread an old journal entry and thought, "Wow, my English was so bad back then." That moment showed me how much I had improved. Another challenge came when I tried to understand English accents. British English, American English, Australian English, they all sounded so different. I remember watching a British TV show and thinking, why do they say water like water? I couldn't understand anything at first. So, I started watching videos with subtitles to get used to different accents. Slowly, I began recognizing the words, and now I can even guess where someone is from based on how they speak. One thing that really helped me was turning learning into fun. I listened to English songs and tried to sing along. I'll never forget how hard I worked to memorize "Let It Go" from Frozen. It was a challenge to keep up with the lyrics, but it helped me improve my pronunciation and learn new words like cold, kingdom, and control. I also loved playing games in English. In one online game, I had to work with teammates who only spoke English. At first, I didn't understand much, but I learned phrases like "cover me," "watch out," and "let's go." Playing the game became a fun way to practice speaking and listening.